What I've got for you today is a very special match of StarCraft 2. I don't believe that this has ever happened before, because we have two-time world champions of StarCraft 2 facing off against each other in a best-of-3 series. Now, spotting right here in the upper left, becoming the world champion of StarCraft 2 back in 2013 and then back in 2015 as well. We're looking inside of the main base of SOS. His opponent, down in the bottom right, playing in red, you know him, you love him. He was the world champion of StarCraft 2 back in 2018, and he's also the current world champion. We have Serral. Now, truthfully, I do believe that this is a bit of a lopsided matchup. I never really know what to make of SOS. Sometimes I see SOS play, and he looks like an absolute god. But then other matches, it just kind of looks like he didn't touch the game for several months. And he got invited to a tournament, and he decided, you know what, I guess I'll take the free trip. And now I am in Germany, and I'm playing some StarCraft. I don't really know exactly what to expect from SOS. I do know, though, that Serral is always on point, and he certainly is the favorite going into this. Now, of course, SOS, he is an absolute trickster. I wonder if maybe he's got some spicy build orders prepared once again. This particular series recently took place at Home Story Cup, so it was in Germany. And I really don't know. Like, I feel like SOS is one of those wild cards coming into any event. Sometimes he just has clearly prepared build orders in advance. Remember when he did that mothership rush against Raynor? Oh, it had so much potential, but then he got supply blocked. Not good. Not good. And you know what? Something else that's potentially not good here for Serral is this probe making a beeline towards the bottom left-hand corner. Okay, we're gonna go for a proxy. We're gonna go for what I think is very likely going to be a proxy Stargate. It is just the structure here that makes the most sense. Cybercore is gonna be done in just a moment, and I'm assuming we're gonna be planting a Stargate right next to it. It's a relatively short trip for flying units into the main base right here of Serral. If Serral decides to go for his... there it is. If he decides to go for, like, the blind spore crawlers at, like, 340 or so, they're gonna be too late. In that case, he is likely going to be losing at least like a half dozen or so workers. Serral, though, obviously is well familiar with SOS's reputation, and he's going to check. Well, right from the get-go, bit of a disaster here for SOS. Yeah, best case scenario here for the finisher. He runs the Ling away again, and that is going to allow him to now prepare a Spore Crawler, maybe a second Queen, a little bit sooner. Not panicking, though. He's just simply waiting until he needs it. We're probably gonna see it at like maybe 3-5, if I were to make a guess, if you really wanna stretch it. I would probably make it right about right now, if I was Serral. But he is obviously significantly better at the game. And he is, yeah, gonna even wait longer than that, really? Yo, we did see the Stargate, right? Oracle is just about to pop out. Now we go Spore 315? I mean, that feels greedy. Let's see. SOS now, of course, has been spotted. Is he gonna save a second Oracle? Not the case. He is gonna just fly it straight in. Now, SOS is giving Serral here the benefit of the doubt. He is the one who's assuming that the Spore would already be done, so he decides to make a beeline for the natural instead. A little bit of irony there. One drone? Two drone? No, just one. He misfired. A little bit of a misclick. Could have had a second worker kill there for sure. In the meantime, though, it's a Twilight Council on the back of this. No third Nexus. A little bit funky, actually. The lack of a third base will be something that Serral is paying attention to at this point, too. Normal timing for it with this particular proxy would be about 350 for Protoss. So having a Zergling out on the other side of the map and realizing that there is no third, it is indicative that there is, once again, something happening inside of the base of our Protoss. Third Nexus now gets planted. Serral's still trying to squeeze out a few drones. I think what's kind of unfortunate for SOS is that he's going up against probably the least cheesable Zerg on the planet. You know, like, there are players out there that you can win against, even at the absolute highest level, with a little bit of early game shenanigans. But Serral has really specialized in not dying to stupid stuff over, like, the course of the last decade. Ay. That is two drones dying. but for 2 adepts, and considering this is a Glaive Adept opener, the Glaive's research is about 20 seconds late, I believe. He could have started it up a while ago, decides to chrono it out, but when you lose a couple of adepts right before you really go in, are we gonna activate the Pulsar Beam once more? You will, but the pylon will likely fall here. Serral, though, decides to not take any chances. The energy will run out momentarily. We're gonna send in one more Zergling. Activates the Pulsar Beam yet again. Now the Oracles are completely out. There is a group of Adepts, though, still moving in. They are sort of already supposed to have the Glaive's research done. So this is straight up attack speed for the Adepts, and it makes them way better against Zerglings and drones and all the rest of it. It's a little bit funky, though. He's already moving around. It's one of those plays where if you are the Zerg at this point, when you know you've just killed a bunch of Adepts and you see small pockets of them moving around, do you assume it's actually going to be mass Adept? Well, there's no Roach Warren. There's no Baneling Nest. There is a lair, but not a lot of tech available. SOS may just get away with this trick here in the end, but does he have enough units? That's the question. Oh, he forgets to cancel the Tailing 2. We have the Oracle swooping into the 3rd. No Spore Crawler set up over there. I gotta say, Serral's making this really quite difficult for himself with this Spore Crawler shenanigans. I mean, it kind of feels to me like he's been countering everything quite nicely, but if you actually look at the raw numbers in this match, SOS is totally fine. I mean, yeah, the Stargate is gonna get shut down, but that's not really that important. The Oracles are still alive. The 3rd Nexus of the Protoss is now up and running. He's getting decent trades here as well with those Adepts. They're gonna work on some of the workers. Recall on those. That seems ambitious, but he is going to be able to get 3 of them out. Okay. And, you know, as the dust settles, we have a 6-worker advantage for the Protoss. Dropper Lord right now here for Serral. Baneling Nest on the back of this as well. He's going Hydraling Bane. I'm a little surprised Serral decided to, like, not make a Spore Crawler at the 3rd. And the fact that he also decided to skip out on the Roach Warren. I feel like if you are going up against literally anybody and you take all the safety precautions, knowing that you are the better macro player, it would be against SOS. Either way, SOS is going to continue doubling down the aggression. A relatively small amount of workers available right now for the Zerg. He's moving in with Stalkers on the right side. Genuinely high numbers of Zerglings, though, moving around. The Hydra count is also going up. He wants to try and get the snipe over at that base. Now the Lynx, they swoop into the main base as well after dealing some damage in the natural. And this is going to hurt SOS quite a bit. Serral still runs around. Does he have Burrow? He does not. So these Lynx will eventually die. There are some stasis wards being set up. But as long as the Zerg doesn't leave creep, I think he's going to be okay. In the meantime, the one pesky Ling is going to finish the job. He's already got 1 confirmed pylon kill. Soon he's going to get a kill as well on that Stargate. Nice triggering right here off that stasis ward. There's another group of Lynx moving forward, and they're indeed going to be able to now also shut that one down. And yeah, this is where the game is going to become a lot harder, I think, for SOS, because what does he have? Oh, he hits a big supply block. Ah, this is what I'm talking about, man. He clearly still has it, but then we hit a supply block at 117. You're not really allowed to hit supply blocks like that at this level. I know that may sound harsh, but the fact of the matter is that in 2026, players don't hit that anymore at the highest level. It's a... It happens from time to time, right? But it's by no means the norm. And it just slows you down tremendously. Now, there is no Storm available. There are no Colossi available. Really, all we have is a bunch of Stalkers. And Stalkers against pure Hydra Ling. I don't really see it working out. Still, though, SOS making the best of the situation. He obviously lost a bunch of units, so that allowed him to continue warping in troops. How many gateways does he have? He's got 7 right now on 3 bases, which is also not enough. You can see that reflected right now in the resource count. He's got too many minerals queued up. Okay, I guess it's because he wanted to make a base, but he basically has 1,000 minerals available and only a very small portion of gas. There's no follow-up anymore. We do not have any sort of storm. It looks like even some Banelings managed to roll through just now, but there's no cancel on this 4th base either. There's no follow-up planned. Yeah, and that now makes this game dire for our Protoss. He traveled all the way across the world, made it to beautiful Krefeld in Germany. Top 3 most beautiful cities in Germany that I've ever visited. Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. Right between Cologne and Dusseldorf, you have the great world-known city, Krefeld. If you're gonna visit, you should probably go to the other two cities instead. Anyways, I've got a feeling that SOS is gonna fizzle out. That's the problem. He doesn't have a follow-up here, so no Colossus, no High Templar. There are, I guess, some charge slots out, but this is not a late-game unit composition. And Serral is approaching, well, a proper, I guess, like mid to late-game Zerg army. There's a lot more coming, and he's already got the right units, right? So more Banelings roll into the third. And this is just making things worse and worse and worse. While a few Adepts do get some work done, SOS decides to rip off the Band-Aid in game number 1. I mean, the outcome of that game was what I expected it to be. But across the board, I really felt like Serral was going to be the one winning the early game, and that SOS was likely going to do something in the later stages of the game. The last few times I've seen SOS go up against Zergs, he's been doing mothership rushes, like I said, but all kinds of weird Skytles play. Now he effectively won the early game, and then didn't really have much of a follow-up. Not ideal. Well, we find ourselves on the map of Winter Madness next. And I guess our question should be, what does the South Korean Protoss player have up his sleeve next? SOS, though, an absolute legend in the StarCraft world. I know there's a lot of, I guess, newer fans. I mean, to be fair, winning the World Cup back in 2013. That's like, 2013, how many years is that ago? Like 7? Give or take? Yeah. Reasonably recent. We can call it recently, I guess. That's... Anyways, it's been a while. Back then, the overall skill level in StarCraft 2 was just much, much lower. You could get away with supply blocks. You could make macro mistakes. And obviously, Protoss at the time was kind of like the perfect race. Protoss these days is far less tricksy. But for like the first decade of StarCraft 2's existence, it kind of felt like Protoss always relied on tricks and throwing the opponent off. SOS has always been very good at that, and you can sort of slip up your macro from time to time and still be okay. But these days, Protoss really is, at the very least for the most part... Oh no. He went to the same school as Hero. That wall is atrocious. Anyways... for the most part, Protoss is expected to be a macro race as well these days. And, I mean, that's something that Protoss players back then begged for, by the way. Like, a lot of Protoss players back then were like, yo, I want to be able to play macro games, but I have to pull these tricks all the time. Please give me a solid early game so I can actually transition to a macro match reliably. So it took, well, it took like a decade before that really happened. Obviously, Blizzard messed around with the Mothership core to try and stabilize the Protoss early game. Ultimately, though, what they needed to do, right, was just make the early game units for Protoss better. Just make the early game for Protoss stronger. And, well, when they did that, ultimately, how many years ago is that now? It's been a while. Anyways, when they ultimately did it, it did make the game so much better for Protoss across the board. At least, if you are a fan of playing longer games. Now, there are 2 openings in this wall. We're gonna have to plug, I think, the left here with a pylon. Technically, you can also put a gateway over here, but you don't really want your entrance out of your natural, or your exit out of the natural, on the left side here. You want it on the side that leads to your third, so the angle here is shorter. If you don't wall it in over here, and this is the entrance instead, you are basically inviting Zergling Runbys to come in from that. It doesn't make any sense. So I think he's gonna wall it with a pylon. The power field, yeah, does not reach all the way out there. It's okay. It is, yeah, it's not a huge deal, but it does make the game a little messy. Serral looking around again, though. He's got Zerglings patrolling left, right, and center. He's got spotter units out on the map everywhere to make sure that he is not blindsided by whatever Protoss decides to throw his way. It's going to be a Stargate build yet again. Void Ray first, though. Obviously, there's a lot of variety that can come after this. I've actually got quite a few Serral replays to go ahead and have a look at right now, which is nice. There is a other best of 3, actually, that Serral played in the group stage of Home Story Cup as well. So, the same day as this particular series that he did against Mana. I think I'll have a look at that one after this, too. If you're up for more StarCraft, that is. No, Lowko, I hate StarCraft. Okay, sorry. I didn't know that. 2 drones end up going down here. Actually, I said it was a Void Ray first. That's not right. This is an Oracle first into a Void Ray. Somehow, some way. Where did that Overlord go? The Overlord already got sniped, I guess. We have a bunch of Zerglings, though. Ooh, hitting away at the third. And with the Oracle too far away and the Void Ray wandering through the middle of the map, SOS is gonna get an Overlord kill here, but at the cost of a Nexus. Is he even gonna get it? He will. He needs to be careful he doesn't take too much hull damage here on the Void Ray. That is better something that you avoid Ray. Okay, third Nexus fires up yet again. But now it's like a full minute late. Glaive to depths once more. This time around, Serral does decide to go for the good old Roach Warren together with that lair. Haha, Lowko, you're so funny. I'm gonna hit the like button. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think a Roach Warren here, though, does make a lot of sense. Having the Roach Warren just makes the early game so much more stable. You can skip it, but if you skip it and then also skip the Baneling Nest and you go straight Hydras, you are in trouble against a variety of Protoss builds. Now, specifically Glaive to Depths. It still worked out, I guess, for the Zerg player in the previous game, but... SOS. All right. SOS is trying to sell the story of a Skytos follow-up. This is totally real, dude. These are just 2 Void Rays minding their own business. This is totally real. Serral fires up a Spire. This is probably in case he needs to make Corruptors. What is really happening, though, is a Glaive to Depth follow-up, but SOS, okay, he was supply blocked for just a moment. Warps in additional units yet again. Guess it was the Nexus finishing up. We have a little bit of walling in right now on the side of the Zerg. Here go the Glaive to Depths. Oh, and the Glaive to Depths just wander straight into this pocket of the Zerg. Serral invited him over for tea and then slammed the door in his face. This is an absolute disaster here, though. Yet again, there's not enough roaches out already, but not any damage done to the economy is exactly what Serral's hoping for. And I've got a feeling that these roaches are gonna fall off. At this point, obviously, the fact that the Skytos follow-up is not real will be something that Serral is aware of. He's gonna keep the Spire, though. So maybe roaches into Mutas? Always an option. The Void Ray is gonna be able to kill the one Gas Geyser. All right. He's gonna make the beam thick as well against that spawning pool. Wait a second. He's got to try and snipe the spawning pool. Serral didn't even call the bluff. Okay, he sent in 1 queen. 2 queens. Yeah. Ladies, go! I know there's more important matters to wonder about, but... No. SOS! SOS, wake up! Yeah. APM-wise... And that really does tell you a really large portion of the story. I know APM is just a number. You could, technically speaking, figure out from this that Serral is about 50% faster across the board. And it adds up very quickly. It adds up very quickly. Baneling Nest on the back of this right now for Serral. We've got ourselves an Evo Chamber right... Oh, he actually decides to cancel the Baneling Nest and go for the +1 melee instead. Here go to Mutas, trying to get a little bit of work in. Okay, this is good though for SOS. Intercepting the Mutas pretty much perfectly. Yeah, these Mutas have definitely not paid for themselves. Keep in mind that the Spire is also pretty expensive. I think the Phoenix follow-up is kind of unnecessary. But I guess the entirety of the Protoss army is now distracted, and that means that the 4th Nexus, much like the 3rd base from earlier, will likely be killed by a bunch of Lings. Protoss army desperately trying to run on over in this direction, but that's not going to happen. Okay. Slowly but surely. It is all starting to add up. We now have a 50 supply-ish lead here for the finisher. And yet again, I don't really like this like transition that SOS does at this stage in the match. He did the same thing last time around. So, okay, he intercepts a whole bunch of links. That's nice. But we're making like a sideways step towards charge here, rather than like making an actual, tech up. Templar Archives is real good, but I wonder if Serral's gonna give him the light of day to really get that Storm upgrade done. Because it's a long research. +1 is finished though for the Protoss player. Serral trying to see if he can, intercept some of those. Sentry does take a beating. Stalker numbers are still high. +1 melee though is moments away from finishing. More and more links send out. +2, +1 here coming up as well. So SOS really wants to double down on this like mid-game gateway unit type of army. Bunch of Banelinks get warped into. Zealots without charge are so freaking slow. You never see Zealot run-bys like that anymore, man. Ugh. These are like 80-year-old Zealots trying to make their absolute, they're trying their absolute best to get across the map. The leg enhancement is coming. What else is coming, though, is an Ultralisk Cavern. Normally, I'm critical of Ultra Caverns, but in this particular instance, we do not have a Robo facility. And without any sort of Immortal play, I've got a feeling that, we're just gonna watch Ultras demolish stuff. Oh no, the old men are gonna die. No! You know what? Maybe this is like an honorable way to die in the minds of the Protoss. Serral uprooting the spine to save it? Okay. Maybe that was the honorable way to go, you know? Maybe it's a society where the old men that are mostly just a burden on society decide to go out with a bang. Needs to be respected. We do have a nice stasis ward over here, actually. That's helping out Serral more than it's helping out SOS. Making it pretty much impossible for the Protoss to go through. Greater Spire as well. Okay. I think it's all a little unnecessary. Like Lurkers, Brute Lords, Ultras, all of it is good. I think getting, well, multiple options is a little much. But I guess in Serral's mind, he doesn't really want to take any chances. Yeah, he's now doing that thing where it almost kind of feels like he's playing with his food. Zealot run by over here gets intercepted. The pushover at the front has not really done anything. As soon as I think these roaches go down, we'll probably see them replaced with Ultralisks or maybe Brute Lords instead. SOS does have a 4th base up, but very little mining. A bunch of idle probes as well. Zealot run by yet again, moving in through the left. The Spine Crawler from earlier is going to get another poke in. And more Banelinks will detonate to try and get this job done. And there's the Ultras. That's how Serral calls them. That's how actually all of the European professional Zergs call them. Ultras, Mutas. They've all taken over Serral's pronunciation. Now finally we go Fleet Beacon. Now finally we go freaking Storm as well. Doesn't this feel late? We're 12 minutes into game. We're only just now taking the gases over here. They're not even saturated. It's just, I think, a little bit too slow. The Banelings are going to crush through some of the static defense. Microbial Shroud coming up for Serral. Okay, buddy. All right. Roaches here indeed do fall. Lings and Banes are getting destroyed. What about the Zealots that are still out on the map trying to get some work done? Well, they're being chased by Ultralisks. 4th Nexus is not going to live. And SOS, upon seeing the Ultras, decides to GG out. More StarCraft? Yeah, I think we got to do more StarCraft. It's time for another best of 3, where this time around in the bottom right, we have Mana. And his opponent in the upper left, we're looking inside of the main base of Serral. Now, I was actually already fast-forwarding through this particular game, thinking I'll start my cast at minute 2, because usually Mana, well, he is a very, quote-unquote, normal Protoss player. But then I realized, wait a second, we've got ourselves a second probe already moving out. He's going for a cannon rush. We're going to cannon rush Serral? Really? Well, let's find out. Is it a good idea? Mana sees that it's indeed a hatchery first. Overlord is heading in this direction. So Serral's gonna find out about the potential cannon rush here in just a moment. The thing is, Mana has really perfected the cannon rush over the last year or so. And I'm really curious to see how he's gonna execute this against Serral. Serral has actually decided to not pull any drones until just now. Gateway here coming up, pylon coming up. That creates a beautiful little pocket that is... Oop! Fun little fact over there. If there's nowhere for the probe to go, it will squeeze in between structures that it technically can't pass through. It leaves a perfect little pocket, though, for this photon cannon, and I believe that this is already a done deal. This cannon rush is working, and I think the hatchery is likely going to fall. Serral still has a bunch of drones down here. He's trying his best to see if he can potentially shut down this photon cannon on the low ground and buy some time for himself, but I think that this hatchery needs to be cancelled. Okay. And now suddenly, the tone of this match has been set. What do you do now? Where do you take this game from here? I'm assuming we're going to see a Nexus in a moment here for Mana. Mana, by the way, did go for a, well, Gateway obviously on the other side of the map, and now a Cybercore too. Third hatchery coming up for Serral. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing a pylon going down over here as well. Maybe the Zealot can go after in that direction too. Another Gateway gets added into the mix. Mana is going full aggression here. Roach Warren on the back of this for Serral, who is now forced to play, I guess, one base Ravager, effectively. And this game is completely flipped upside down. Compared to the series we just watched against SOS, this is entirely different. How is Serral gonna deal with this? Keep in mind, though, that Protoss obviously only has one base worth of economy as well. Usually in one base versus one base, Ravagers absolutely shine. Ravagers are one of those units, right, that don't really get better with upgrades. I mean, they do, but they effectively have all of the strength right from the very start. So one base Zerg versus one base Protoss, usually not terrible, at least for the Zerg player, but it does feel a little bit funky. Is he gonna cancel this hatchery over here too? No. Okay. Is this just like a 325 mineral donation? The queens are waiting on the high ground. There is a Stalker moving in this direction. Now goes down to the low ground though, and we'll be able to get some shields back from that shield battery. But yeah, the third hatchery is certainly going to die. One nice thing, of course, for Ravagers is that with corrosive balls, you can outrange the photon cannons. So at the very least, it's gonna buy him a bunch of time. It does take a while, though, to heal these Ravagers back up. Serral has 3 queens, soon to be. Okay. And that means, indeed, that one of them will end up falling immediately. Like, one of the Adepts will end up falling here immediately. But if you want to keep these Ravagers alive, you kind of have to skip injecting. Mana, though, is dancing quite nicely. Still not expended on the back of this. Serral has an Overlord in the Protoss as natural, so he knows. He doesn't really need to be all too aggressive here, but I really do like the dancing with those Ravagers. Using the corrosive balls on cooldown. Another transfusion does indeed hit. Now we're getting to the point, though, where there's enough of those Stalkers out to basically two-shot the Ravagers. More and more static defense added into the mix. Multiple layers here upon of Protoss players here, or the shield batteries right here for the Protoss player. Okay. Yeah, the Ravagers here are being thinned out, and if the numbers run too low, I don't know if it's possible for Zerg to break through this anymore. I think Mana is doing a good enough job keeping all of these Stalkers alive. He has lost a few of them. Pretty much impossible to avoid. The creep is not really far enough forward for the Zerg to continue this pushing. Now you can see the strength of the Ravager, though, right? It's not something that's messing around. I also don't think that these structures should be touching. If they're touching, you can land corrosive balls in between and deal so much damage to it. Looks like the queens are starting to take a bit of a beating too, but the Ravager count is still reasonably high. 23 workers versus 19. As time goes on, Protoss is getting more income. Serral decides to push through all of this, but there's another layer of shield batteries on the back. Ravager stays alive for now. Stalker micro is good. That's another few units going down. Knight's targeting. He walks into the corrosive biles, though. I think that Ravager is likely going to fall too. Nope, transfusion available on one of the queens. The Stalker numbers are very low, and Mana has too much money in the bank. That is an issue. He's got 600 gas nearly. Should certainly be spending that on literally anything. Yeah, he's forced to, I guess, spend so many of his minerals here on static defense that he's not really able to continuously produce Stalkers. That gateway on the left right there getting unpowered is a bit of a problem. Serral tries to break through. There's one pylon here actually powering a whole lot of stuff. Wouldn't mind seeing a few corrosive balls going in that direction. Okay. And that will indeed connect. More and more queens being popped out. Actually, queens are another one of those units, I guess, that really are as strong as they're ever going to be right from the start. Like Ravagers and queens, they do get a bunch of upgrades, of course, throughout the course of a game. But for the most part, they're at like 90% strength compared to like their maxed out counterpart right from the very beginning. Pylon here retargets a lot of that stuff, another power field. But you know what? This warp gate here is unpowered. And at this point, Mana actually, he has no production at all. All of Mana's gateways are now unpowered. I don't know if Serral is aware of it. I think he is. He's got an Overlord here, and he must be paying attention to that sort of thing. Stargate now inside of the main base here of Mana. Okay. He's gonna have to go for another warp in immediately. Another Stalker indeed gets added into the mix. Creep is another one of those mechanics here that is just so freaking powerful. Targeting down individual Stalkers, and there's another one falling. It's a messy game. But it's starting to look to me like a Serral hold. Now, we are arriving at a very weird part where both players are going to be running low on their main bases very soon. I give it another 2 minutes or so, but then they kind of need an expansion. There's still some income going on, but both of them have been fully saturated on minerals at the very least for most of the game. And if you have no additional mining, then where do you spend your money? Where are you going to get it from? That's another one of the pylons going down, and if that's the case, right, I think the cooldown on the Ravager bios is just going to get better over time. The fact that Serral is getting energy as well on the queens and he can throw in more and more transfuses, I think that's going to get better and better over time. Yeah. How many minerals do we have? Not a whole lot. Serral still has a little bit of mining, it seems. Mana may have more probes, but it's mostly because of the fact that he has been mining more gas. That's another pylon falling. And if we look at the resources lost, I guess that this really is telling us the full story. Way more minerals have gone down on the side of the Polish Protoss. Whereas for Zerg, he's only lost a little bit. Now this is cool though. Oracle swoops in, out of nowhere seemingly. It's now reduced Serral to only 12 drones. Nexus begins as well in the natural expansion here of the Protoss player. And I wonder if just the presence of a single Stargate unit is going to be enough to dissuade Serral from going across the map. Do you still attack here? I don't know. I think you kind of want to. But if there's like one Void Ray available, I think the Ravagers and the Roaches are just going to get destroyed. So instead, now we play the macro game. Instead, now we begin droning. And instead, we just let the Protoss get their natural? Okay. The early game dance has been completed. It's been about 10 minutes of dancing. We go into a lair. We go into a good old Zergling speed upgrade. And a Twilight Council gets added into the mix. You gotta love it. Now, I know that Mana has been cannon rushing many people on the ladder over the last couple years. He usually seems to win with it. But I guess the problem you run into here is that Serral's micro is maybe a little bit better than your average ladder hero. Unlucky. Kind of feel like, though, for both players, there was a little bit of room for improvement. Obviously, the amount of, well, wiggle room you really have is tiny. Very difficult to perfect micro, especially, right? But StarCraft 2 usually a very macro-focused game. Oh, here we go again, though. Oracle swoop in. Ah! He bruises a few of the units, but doesn't really kill anything. Mismanagement here on the Oracles. I think it could have had another, like, 3 or so workers in total. Oracle number 3 joins in the fray as well. Blink on the back it is now for Mana, who has started mining the natural. Serral has added on a whole lot of workers too. Goes into an Evo chamber and fires up the 3rd hatchery. Revelation on the creep tumors. We'll be able to get rid of some of that creep. We have 6 queens available, by the way. Mana attempting to go for a 3rd Nexus of his own. Couple of Zerglings here being a nuisance. He does walk around with the probe and ultimately squeezes a Nexus in. Okay. Now, one big potential push here for Serral, I would imagine, is a Queen March. Or a Queen Drop. Or even a Nidus network. I don't really know if he wants to risk it, but I think that is something that he could potentially strike back with. Alternative choice, though, right here for the Zerg player is just to hold down the drone button and try to use that larva mechanic to his advantage. For Mana, I think he probably wants to double down on the aggression even more, but now if you go for like a Stalker move out, there's a lot of creep, and where do you even engage? I guess you could try and snipe maybe one of the outer expansions. Oh, instead he goes Fleet Beacon. Yeah, I think it makes sense, because Stalkers here are nice, but maybe they're better for defense than they are for offense. Normally, as soon as Blink finishes, you go across the map, you try to get work done. Maybe going Fleet Beacon into a mothership is actually the right call. In the meantime, Infestation Pit here for the Zerg player. A 2nd Evo chamber as well, so we'll probably go into... I don't know, probably some sort of... I mean, you could... I guess you just go Hive. It just really makes the most sense. You could even go into Lurkers here if you want to. You could even go into Swarm Hosts. The sky really is the limit. Kind of looks to me, though, that Serral wants to do several things and just, yeah, play this as conventional as possible. Even though this has been a bit of an oddball of a game. No Hive started up yet, though. Oracle's trying to get some value in. Low HP Oracle indeed has to be microed backwards. A few probes do end up falling, but it's okay. Ravagers here now are going to be next. He gets one of them, maybe 2. Nope. Oracle lives. Tempest production has begun here for Mana. Keep in mind that Tempests alone are not that great. You really do want some source of splash. So preferably you get Tempest together with Psystorm. No 4th Nexus, though. Will be something that will set off alarm bells, I think, on Serral's side. He fires up a Hive. Bingling Nest as well. I wonder if we're going to be seeing a Blind Spire here in a moment. It takes about 5 Tempests to effectively one-shot anything that the Zerg has. Okay. Okay. But I think right now what Mana wants to do is sit back and try to max out. And I'm not sure if that is going to be a winning play, but I'm also not entirely sure what else he can really do. Right now, you can really tell that his foot is off the gas. Like, he's going around the map here, he's sniping a couple of lings and maybe a creep tumor or 2. But for the most part, the Zerg has been uncontested now for a little while already. Nice stasis ward, I suppose. Recall on the Stalkers to bring them back home. Serral, though, takes 0 risks. Yeah, I can't really blame him. Okay, Tempest now. They're going to be moving in. Spire is about halfway done. Ravagers here trying their absolute best. Corrosive balls are not going to hit. This will be a lot of kills, though. Okay. The queens from the early game are going to now be used as a way to buy time. We have the Zerglings trying to break open the natural expansion. Carrier on the back it is right now as well for Mana. But the queens here are mostly just there to buy time for the Corruptors to come out. He needs to make sure that the Spire finishes. Stalkers have gone all the way back home. Looks like the Tempests indeed are now trying to cycle around. Maybe they could go after the hatchery. Shutting that one down would be good. What he really needs to look for, though, is the Spire. And where is that thing? Where is the Spire? Okay, it's in the natural expansion. Far out of reach here for Mana. He can't really find it very well. Zerglings and Ravagers, though, are still putting in work. And you know what? They are winning the fight, despite the fact that there's no anti-air in Serral's army whatsoever. He is actually getting a lot of damage done on the other side of the map. Looks like the hatchery here indeed is gonna fall, but Corruptors are now coming, so I don't think there's a whole lot more that this group of Tempest is gonna be able to achieve. Adrenal Glands is just seconds away from finishing up. New hatcheries in the bottom left-hand corner as well. We have one carrier available. Second one is going to be out in just a moment, but that is, of course, where those Corruptors are going to be super useful as well. Transfusions here to keep the Corruptors alive for a little bit longer. Keep in mind that the Stalkers got recalled not too long ago, so that means that they are not going to be able to get these Tempests here to safety. And I think with these units going down, the chances here of mana are dwindling. He is stuck on just the bases that he's got. He will attempt to take another expansion, it seems. Serral, in the meantime, though, has 69 drones mining. And in this instance, I think that's pretty nice. Nexus in the upper right gets spotted as soon as it gets planted down. Ultra Cavern yet again. Okay. Ultra Cavern here once more. Overlord speed. More drones. Wow. I'm sometimes a little bit surprised with how okay this Zerg player is with just sitting and just taking damage. He's obviously dealing damage with the units that he's got. A little bit of caustic spray action. Right? There, he's getting some damage in. But I really feel like he could go for the finisher move, right? He could try and get the win. Instead, yeah, rather than trying to win, we're trying to get more ahead. I guess he knows that very soon Protoss is gonna have to make some plays. I mean, he's been trying already. But either Protoss now goes for an all-in, which would mean that they walk onto creep, or they try absolutely desperately to take a fourth base. And obviously that fourth base does not have any static defense. Now the Ultras are coming. K8 and the Splaiton coming up as well. +1 flyer upgrade. We've got Baneling speed. Serral's basically preparing upgrades for the next game now. Yeah, this is him crossing his T's, dotting his I's, and being 100% safe. Man, these Zerglings are relentless. These are links now with Adrenal Glands, right? And you can really tell. The static defense from the early game doesn't really feel like the same static defense right now. Lings alone are clearing the job pretty nicely. Now, Ultras are gonna get their upgrades here in just a moment. We could even send the Queens in right over here, too, to transfuse the Ultras and basically make them immortal. There's 12 Queens available for 3 Ultralisks. Chitinous Plating is going to be sick. +3 melee is going to be awesome. +1 air weapons is done. Mana is going to attempt to go for a move out, it seems. Zerglings scout out the potential 4th base locations yet again. So that means that there is no 4th base. And that means that Mana indeed is going to have to wander onto creep. Zergling run by over at the 3rd base yet again. A couple High Templar end up going down. And Mana, he decides to rip off the Band-Aid himself. GG. Yeah, and that was one of those games where I think if you are Mana, you kind of hate it the last 80% of it. But also, you're never really in a position to, like, leave the game already, because there's always a chance that the opponent messes up. But then the Zerg didn't mess up, and you just kind of have this gut feeling that you probably should have left a while ago, just because it's gonna eat you up from the inside, and now you have to play another game. Well, what do we do this time around? Winter Madness it is. Hatchery first yet again. Forge first yet again. There's no way, dude. Mana is gonna do a cannon rush back to back? You kidding me? Okay. I mean, it sort of worked in the previous game, I guess. At least the original part that was the cannon rush worked out really nicely. There's the gateway. Serral's gonna see this in just a sec. He's scouting the back of the mineral line once again. It is Hatch Gas Pool. If he wanted to be a little bit safer, he could have gone for hatch pool gas. Drones are gonna get pooled. This time around it's 4. I think last game it was 3. This is a pretty exposed photon cannon, actually. Last time he went for the photon cannon in the back first. 4 is enough to kill this while it's still building. So 3 is actually enough to, like, damage it, but you kind of need 4 if it's already some ways along. Okay, more drones indeed get pooled. Keep in mind that there is a timer on the Zerglings, right? If the Zerglings come out, it's going to be very difficult to place down additional photon cannons, and this photon is not going to be within range of the hatchery itself, so... Oh, no. All the probes die. Zealot comes up right now. Serral could go Spine Crawler. Yeah, I think Spine makes a lot of sense. Damn, he even put it right where I pointed it. Thank you for making me look good. Zerglings coming up. Queen also on the production tab now. No gas mining. There's 0 reason for gas. It kind of depends on this first Zealot. Nah, Queen is going to be out in time. Lings are going to be out in time. The Spine Crawler, I think, is going to finish. Secondary Spine, just in case. Okay, I don't mind it. Oh, he gets this around for just a sec. Yeah, Spine does finish. Serral cancels it, though, at the last second. But this is already so much worse than the previous game, right? Because now Zerg has 2 bases. There's no Roach Warren, I suppose, so we don't really have a follow-up here with Ravagers yet again. But instead, we have Spine Crawlers. And this is, this is a problem here for mana. Oh, no. Okay, he loses both of the Zealots. None of these upcoming Photon Cannons are going to be within range of anything. So that means that you're kind of dead, right? I mean, you can go for a Robo Facility and maybe make a couple Immortals or something, but there should be plenty of production right now here for the Zerg player. Spine Crawler is going to be poking away out of range of the Photon Cannon quite nicely. I think we can put another... Yeah, probably another one right over here and start hitting the pylon right up there, too. Yeah, small differences make all the difference here in the end. Oh, he's actually just going to root them straight within range of the Photon Cannons themselves. There's enough Queens available here to get some energy going. Third Spine Crawler, too. And while the Robo Facility is going to finish here in just a sec, I've got a feeling that this is not a good idea anymore here for Mana. Mana has not got another Nexus. Yeah, this is a problem. Immortal starts up, but this is so much worse than last time around. Perfect defense here. Yeah, so if you're a Zerg player out there, and you sometimes find yourself struggling against Cannon Rush, just play like this. just play better. Have you considered just like not making mistakes and playing better instead? Anyways, yeah, brilliant set of games here. So Serral ends up winning 2-0 against SOS, and then a very entertaining 2-0 as well against Mana. One of those series, though, especially the second one, where, like, one little change could have just changed the entire outcome of the match, right? Like, yes, this is a 2-0 win for Zerg, but there is, like, an alternate timeline out there where it would have been a 2-0 win for Mana instead. GG.